is really wonderful to see so many good friends and guests with us this evening. It's now my sincere pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Dr. Ruth Williams. Ruth has served on our board of directors since 2015. She is currently vice chair of the board, and she chairs our leadership committee and serves on our executive and strategic planning committees. After receiving her medical degree from Rush Medical College in Chicago, Ruth completed her residency in ophthalmology at California Pacific Medical Center and a fellowship in glaucoma at the University of California in San Francisco. Ruth has been a glaucoma specialist at the Wheaton Eye Clinic in Chicago since 1991. She was president of the American Academy of Ophthalmology in 2012. Before serving on the Academy's Board of Trustees, she represented ophthalmology at the AMA for nearly a decade, chairing its ophthalmology specialty section, and she is currently chief medical editor of iNet. Ruth has been recognized by the American Academy of Ophthalmology with the Senior Achievement Award and chosen by her peers for the prestigious Top Doctors Award in Chicago. Please.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks. I'm so happy to be with you as we celebrate 45 years of innovation and research. And I'm going to add patient education by the Glaucoma Research Foundation. And I was giving out GRF literature to my patients long before I got involved on the board, just because my patients loved it and it was so necessary. And now they love it when they go on GRF website and they say, oh, we found you there. I had the extraordinary privilege and experience in life to train with Jack Hetherington, Bob Schaefer, and Dunbar Hoskins in the early 90s. And Andrew Ewald, by the way, was in his first year of glaucoma practice. And these three men taught me so much. Well, they taught me everything I knew about glaucoma and started me on this path. And their words ping around in my head 32 years later. And I think, oh, Dunbar said this or Jack said that. And one of the most special experiences physicians have is to spend a year as a fellow learning from other physicians. These three people, these three humans who founded Glaucoma Research Foundation in 1978 are not just great clinicians, but they're people who have a certain energy to them and who understand what probably every person in this room understands, which is our life has meaning and joy when we do things that are bigger than just ourselves. And to me, that's the vision of Glaucoma Research Foundation. We're doing things for other people and for the future glaucoma patients. Like attracts like, and people who have that energy and vision attract other people who have energy and vision. And the original person who gave a founding gift to Glaucoma Research Foundation was Blanche Mathias. Blanche was born in 1887 in my town of Chicago and then moved to San Francisco and made it her home for 40 years. She was a writer, a visionary, and she loved art. She supported artists in San Francisco. And she was also a world traveler. And you see this picture of her, I was trying to date it by her outfit, to China, and you can see the Great Wall of China in the background. I mean, what a lady. When she lost her vision, she was Bob Schaefer's patient. When she lost vision in her second eye, she said, "Don't let glaucoma blind future generations as this had blinded me." And she gave that founding gift to GRF. And to this day, Blanche Mathias's vision for curing glaucoma underpins everything we do at GRF. And there's a tradition of philanthropy started by her, a grateful patient, that continues to this day. And in this composition, there are pictures of some of the people in this room, including Charlie and Kathy Wilmoth, and their son Christopher has glaucoma. Thank you. Fred and Gail Kittler, I got to sit with you at dinner. Marty Oster and Elizabeth Lee, thank you. Nabuko Sato and Gary Cleary. And Tamako, there you are, yes. And Tamako Takami and Richard Berkins, with whom I also got to have dinner tonight. It's really inspiring. Glaucoma Research Foundation was started in 1978. And there are several milestones, but I'm going to mention one of them because it impacted my life. When I was a glaucoma fellow in 1990 and 1991, the Glaucoma Research Foundation sponsored the first randomized clinical, multi-center clinical trial that documented that lowering eye pressure helped prevent vision loss. This is such a pivotal study that it is still quoted by glaucoma specialists, quoted in papers, academic papers, and to this day, 30 years later, still guides our treatment of low pressure glaucoma. When I was a glaucoma fellow, my office, which by the way was in the GRF office, they gave me a little tiny office up there, I lined my office with sheets of Humphrey visual fields, and I would look at them and analyze these sheets of progressing visual fields. And I think that experience of watching this clinical trial in process, it wasn't published for quite a few years after that, is what drove me to be a subspecialist in low pressure glaucoma. I'm fascinated by it, and I have a huge normal tension practice because nobody else wants to do it, and they say, oh, send it to Ruth. And I really do love taking care of it. And I think I almost maybe sort of understand the disease. Two major types of research are funded by GRF, and the first is Catalysts for the Cure. And we'll talk in a minute about what's so interesting about that research model. It's a collaborative research model and really is how we should be doing research, I think, in the whole country. And the second are the Schaefer grants. The Catalyst for a Cure was first launched in 2002, and we now have had, well, 2 are in process, but have had 4 CFCs, and many of you in this room have helped support the CFCs. The first one was a neuroprotective initiative, and neuroprotection is such a hot topic and also difficult to study because it takes so long to look at it. And I see Adrienne nodding because one of the things we're working on in our glaucoma community is creating new research endpoints so we can do this research in a little more timely way. And in fact, at dinner tonight, we were talking about how slow the research can seem to a glaucoma patient. And so we're really working on trying to get endpoints that allow us to do research a little faster. I was super interested in the CFC2, which is a biomarker initiative. So in a lot of other subspecialties in ophthalmology, we have biomarkers. In retina, we have biomarkers, but in glaucoma, we didn't have any. And the CFC2 helped identify 3 biomarkers that are currently in clinical trials to figure out how we can use them practically and clinically for our patients. And then the CFC3 is such a bold project because we're not talking about preventing glaucoma, we're talking about vision restoration. And the CFC3 team brings together experts in neuroprotection, physiology, cell biology, and ophthalmology to work together on some of these projects. And then I want to tell you about the CFC4. This is the one I talk to my patients about because they ask, I get asked this all the time. I probably get asked this once a week. Is there a link between glaucoma and Alzheimer's or dementia? And the CFC4 is looking at what commonalities we have between glaucoma and other neurodegenerative diseases, and how can we work together to understand neurodegenerative processes and what do we have in common. And this project brings together experts from different areas of neurodegenerative disease. I want to talk a little bit about the collaborative nature of the CFC projects. Traditionally in our country, the way we do research is someone gets a grant to do their own project. And so we work fairly siloed. And people do their little project and get together at a meeting and, discuss their results and publish them. But what CFC does is it posits the question first. What is it do we want to study? And then different labs and people from different labs apply to participate and are chosen by our really remarkable scientific advisory committee. And they work collaboratively. And I really believe that our best work as humans is when we work together. None of us are individuals that have excellence by ourselves, but we have excellence when we work together, and that's what I love about the collaborative research design. The Schaefer grants have an entirely different role. The Schaefer grants are grants, smaller grants of $50,000, soon to be $55,000, that are given to researchers that might not have the history of a research lab, but have an innovative idea and need someone to kickstart it. I'd like to tell you about my friend Carla Siegfried. I've known Carla since we were all in medical school together. And Carla did her glaucoma fellowship at Northwestern, and then she's a glaucoma specialist at Washington University in St. Louis. Carla was about mid-career, so sometime in her 40s, and she got an idea for a research project. She'd never done research before. She was interested in the oxidative stress inside the eye and its effect on the trabecular meshwork. And so she wanted to look at eyes that had had vitrectomies because they had different levels of oxygen in the eye. And so she was looking at oxygen levels in different eyes and then analyzing the trabecular meshwork. But she had zero track record. She had been a clinician her whole life. And she applied for a Schaefer grant and was given a Schaefer grant, and it changed her life. Because Carla Siegfried today is a respected research scientist. She's a practicing glaucoma specialist, and it was GRF that gave her a chance to get started on something when she didn't have a history of being a clinician scientist. And I'm going to read one of these quotes because I think it's really significant, from a PhD at the University of Michigan who said, "Perhaps the single most productive piece of funding I have ever received, because it's seed money for people who want to get into research and have very specific projects that they want to do." And in 2023, we gave 8 Schaefer grants. And what's really fun, I think what's really fun, if you come to the gala, Glaucoma 360, a lot of these people will be there and you can talk to them and feel their enthusiasm and their gratefulness for Glaucoma Research Foundation. So over the last 45 years, GRF has invested $53 million for glaucoma research. And I can tell you after our board meeting today, we are just warming up. The vision of the board and the vision of our staff is incredible. And I want to tell you one story. We were at our strategic retreat a couple years ago. When was that, Charlie? Okay, so we were at a strategic retreat a year ago. And the staff came to the strategic retreat. And I'm sitting in a little small group, and we're trying to come up with a vision statement or a slogan, I think a slogan for GRF, I wanted it to be very precise and very, very scientific and very accurate and wordy. And the staff said, no, our vision is to cure glaucoma. And we listened to them because it's the truth. That's what we're here for, is to cure glaucoma. I love being part of something that is bigger than my day-to-day life. It gives my life meaning and joy. And you are my people because every single person in this room is that kind of person. And my dream for us, for our patients, for our children and our grandchildren, is that we will live in a world where I don't have a job anymore because we will have cured glaucoma. Thank you.